What kind of outcomes could we be looking at here? For that, we use game theory. You may have heard of it. I love game theory. Whether or not it's Love is Blind on Netflix or it's Golden Balls, a famous game show from the United Kingdom. It's a way of analyzing a situation of conflicting interest in terms of gains and losses. Let's go to the wall to talk about the players and the game and the pieces at play. Of course, in this game, this game of chess on the world stage, the players are Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky. The United States and Europe also involved. But the pieces at play right now in this negotiation are land. Will Russia get control of a contested portion of Donetsk it currently does not control? Security guarantees. Article 5 basically is constituted in a NATO guarantee. Security measures for Ukraine. Will it include the United States? And if neither of these pieces can be moved around, will there be continued attacks? And there were, as recently as last night. So here to help us decode what Vladimir Putin may be thinking is former KGB agent Jack Barsky. Jack, thanks for being with us here today. But just to establish your familiarity with the way things work in Russia, your experience with the KGB, will you quickly share with our audience, you worked as a KGB agent in the United States for years before eventually deciding that you wanted to be on the side of the United States?
Yes, sir. I was an undercover illegal in the United States for 10 years.
All right, and that gave you obviously deep knowledge of not just the way the KGB thinks, but perhaps any KGB agent, including Vladimir Putin. Now you're on the side of the good guys. Now you're on the side of the United States. I'm not going to force you into this analysis through game theory, but I do want to ask you, the game at play seems to me a bit of Sophie's choice or a catch-22. Putin has suggested to Zelensky, give up land, get security guarantees, but you might not retain power in Ukraine. Or Zelensky can choose not to give up the land, continue to prosecute the war, and maybe lose the entirety of Ukraine.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm picturing Zelensky and Putin sitting at the same table, staring at each other. They hate each other like two people can hate each other, period. And that hatred is rooted in the history of both nations. Started with in the Middle Ages with when the Kiev Rus was formed. And I know enough Ukrainians and Russians to know that this hatred is not going to end. So here's the problem. Assuming that there is a proposal on the table that comes from the United States, based on what you just said, that means both players have to give something up and have to trust that the other side gives something up. It's also, there's a personal aspect involved. Both of these guys are narcissists, political narcissists who are working diligently on their legacy. They can't walk away as losers. So they don't trust each other. And so how can they trust that the other side will give something up too, so they can walk away as not losers, but sort of at least play it that way that, we won something.
You described the historical hatred between these two countries, but you've also brought this down to the personal level, describing them as political narcissists. If you think about this, then, the players, in personal terms, how can you find the compromise that both of these players get a win?
You talk about security guarantees, but again, trust comes into the picture. I think Zelensky will trust the United States and our president, and I believe that Putin has reason to trust Donald Trump, but he doesn't trust the United States and the West. We have been so adamantly anti-Russian in the recent history, based on the Democrat administrations, but also the alt-right. We had a senator of the United States in public call Vladimir Putin a war criminal. Why would I want to trust these people? If they come back to power, whatever they guarantee, I can't trust. So I am sorry, I'm not very, very positive about this here. And I'm generally an optimistic kind of guy. Without optimism, I wouldn't be alive today. So.
Well, I unfortunately as well. you're not alone in your pessimism. If we're looking for optimism, we can find it. It is the fact that we have never been this far downfield. I hope you've been in the United States long enough to appreciate the football analogy. In my analogy, we may not be necessarily close to the end zone, but we've never been further down the field in reaching an agreement to end this war. Jack Barsky, fascinating conversation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.